right? Buckingham Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And then the filing is right there at the bottom. You can see the file number. Still published, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Okay, I can
Oh,
move.
wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay, there we go.
And then this is the lien on the Vatican and the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. And then, and the Rothschilds. So when they have what they call a statement that, okay, our stuff is not real, what Atsakata is doing is not real, why are they spending so much time stopping us and blocking us and restricting how we put information out, blurring the videos, because their stuff is based on the lie and as quickly, so their greatest fear is to lose their authority, and the thing is it's based on a lie, so it can't stand. Now this particular document, this is a great seal of the state of Georgia, and this is signed by Sonny Perdue. This pertains to our embassy down in what they would call Georgia. And this is the lien we filed. Jason Alday was the guy who fraudulently sold it. We had two notaries present who charged him with Title 42 USC Section 1983 for fraud, and he didn't even want to look at their notary documentation.
Mm.
So this is filed, and we have a 30-year lien plus a grant deed of 100 years on the property. Now this is This is called a blueback. Countrywide Home Loans is also known as Bank of America, and it's still Bank of America. They just used a different name to fool people. That was just the real estate side of the bank. And then MERS Corp is a consolidation of banks who are supposed to be tracking securities, which of course they don't. R.K. Arnold was the CEO, and when we sent him the check for the mortgage payment, they turned around, ran it, sent it back, and said they monetized it essentially, even though they never took the funds.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the law firm McCalla, Raymer, Padrick, Cobb, Nichols, and Clark. They're doing racketeering, and that's why they bought off Daphne Melinda Walker. So again, these are legal documents as they say. So now why is it then they don't honor it? And people might say, well, why do you have the 1 cent stamp or the $1, the Fox stamp? Because $1 is first class. I canceled it out as the postmaster, banker, and judge. This is a mail item. So what this means is, in accord with Title 39, Section 601, I'm a postmaster carrying the mail. Under Title 18, United States Code Section 1700 to 1709, the mail cannot be obstructed, and if it's obstructed, that's a felony. So, and it's stamped by the post office when I canceled it. And then on the back as well, maritime. So this is evidence that the property in Clayton County that they call Ellenwood, Georgia, that house and the land there is our embassy. Mm-hmm. So this is international. Touch it. Want you to feel it.
Feel it.
Feel the seal.
Feel the seal. I feel the seal.
So that is more evidence. Let's see, Regina versus Jaw. I think we have that. Okay, yeah, this is the court. This is another apostille that we did. And Diani, again, she's the head of our notary department. I was the one who did the notary. And we have the bull ring, just like most people like, whoa, that's international. That's maritime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me know when I can turn the page.
Go ahead.
Oh, feel the seal.
Oh, can't see it. Yes.
Okay. So now, this is a certificate of service for the foregoing document, Regina versus Jaw. This is the actual jury verdict. When he challenged Elizabeth's sovereignty and he said, I don't care what you say. The only thing I'm interested in is what? I'm interested in is I'm going to challenge your sovereignty. And so that this, we have the document inscribed as well. But it's just like, it's always good to have somebody who hasn't seen it real life to see it. And so we have the video here, which we're going to show in a second. This is it, and we printed that off. And here's the actual jury verdict. So you can see that he was the defendant, John Anthony Hall, before the courts at Southwark. And I've got it asterisk there, or Diani does. Okay? Now I'm going to flip the page so you can see. Here is the decision right here. On May 12th, 2011, not guilty by jury on judge's direction. And then not guilty again, verdict not guilty. So he proved that Elizabeth has no authority. She cannot legislate, which includes all the law enforcement, the barristers, the solicitors, the knights, the military, everybody who falls under, has swears an oath to her, is swearing a false oath. Everybody who is underneath her or acknowledges her as their sovereign is operating fraudulently. And she knows it. That's why she can't answer to any matters pertaining to indigenous people, because she broke her oath. Okay, so here's a picture of him. And so anybody wants to know, yes, I talked with John over the internet. He sent me the documentation. This is him right here.
Which one?
Right here in the center. That's him.
Oh.
So we put this together in a document. This was tendered to the Edmonton Law Courts. So the Edmonton Law Courts are talking a bunch of, this is a part 2 of it because it cut the page. So the Edmonton Law Courts are talking a bunch of nonsense when they start talking about, oh, I bow to the Queen. I said, what Queen? I said, so you guys are down with slavery then. But they're not going to say it like that. But when you say it, slavery, trafficking in human cargo, right, then they don't like that, because that makes them what? Guilty of conspiracy by participating. They can go to The Hague and get tried for that. And here's the point he made on his website. The person who purports to be queen was in fact, as proven above, never rightfully nor lawfully the sovereign/crown. Therefore, the crown/prosecution/regina has no authority to put the defendant on trial, or any defendant on trial, and the judge has no authority to try him or her, because the judge's authority comes from her. This also applies, yes, to the United States federal courts, district courts, local courts, traffic courts, family courts, etc., because the American Bar Association falls underneath the British Accredited Registry. And so therefore, they are agents of who? England, agents of Elizabeth. Now in 12 it says, Elizabeth Alexander Mary Battenberg is therefore not only massively in breach of contract, but also massively in breach of the law, and thus is not only not the lawful sovereign, never has been, and thus has no jurisdiction to prosecute me, but is also a criminal, guilty of capital crimes that carry the death penalty. According to the law, she swore to maintain the utmost of her power. That perfect royal law of liberty was given by God to the British-Israel peoples to protect the British-Israel peoples from exploitation, oppression, poverty, and harm, and which God has warned the British-Israel peoples to return to with dire consequences for failure to do so. Her obscene wealth and that of her relatives, cronies, and accomplices must be seized and shared out amongst the poor and homeless. Now, they're operating in what? Commerce. So how is that going to happen? Somebody has to put out a commercial claim against her. If they don't do that, what's going to change? Nothing. So I'm the only one on the planet who has a claim, has a active claim, and it's valid. It's just a matter of selling it. That's why I contacted the government of Zimbabwe, because I figured they'll be interested in having that. So what I'm going to do is just play a couple minutes here of her oath, because some people aren't even aware of this. This is where she actually signs the contract. You know, because I realize you got to sort of walk people. You just tell them and they still can't. I say, okay, let's walk through. So Queen Elizabeth swore to and before God and the British people to do her utmost to maintain the laws of God. But what are the laws of God?
And now, for the first time in the many times of this ancient ceremony, Scotland's church takes part. The moderator of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland receives the Holy Bible from the Dean of Westminster and brings and presents it to the Queen.
Our gracious Queen, to keep your Majesty ever mindful of the law, of the law, of the law, and the gospel of God, as the rule for the
3 times.
whole life and government of Christian princes, we present you with this book, the most valuable thing which the world affords. Here is wisdom, this is the royal law, this is the royal law, this is the royal law, these are the lively oracles of God.
So the laws of God, aka the royal laws, are unsurprisingly and quite clearly written in the Bible as shown in the video footage. The laws of God forbid mankind from legislating any new laws. Now Deuteronomy chapter 4:2, ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the I am your God, which I command you. Now that's Deuteronomy. So what they say now is, oh, well, that's the Old Testament. We don't have to follow the Old Testament because grace and truth came by way of Jesus Christ. Now Jesus said, I did not come to change the law, but to fulfill it. So he followed what? The Mosaic laws. Right there in Deuteronomy. Since Elizabeth swore not to legislate as part of the contract between herself and the British people, the first time she gave royal assent to a piece of legislation, she was in breach of contract. Royal assent means when they have a corporate law passed that she stays silent. So therefore that means she is in agreement with it and it passes by royal assent by the fact of her not commenting. Making that contract null and void. So I will go back real fast to here. This was the apostille that we did from our nation on her oath. I will, to the utmost of my power, maintain the laws of God and the true profession of the gospel. Doesn't say anything in here about legislation. Then at the bottom, the things which I have here before promised, I will perform and keep, so help me God. So has she performed and kept that?
No.
So therefore she is in breach, correct?
Correct.
So therefore anybody who aids and assists her, they are assisting who? The harlot, as it's mentioned in Revelation, correct? See how deep, now you see how deep it gets. So people will say, well, I was just doing my job. No, it says right there. She said this, and this is her signature up at the top of the document. And what I did is I said, I hereby claim the British throne, adverse claim against Her Majesty and the crown. Now, if it was bogus, why is it that I have an adverse claim, and I have a active statement of claim against her? And what happened was the Commonwealth of Kentucky went and changed the UCC form after I did that. They said, this means it's over. But I'm supposed to be a fraud. thus abdicating the throne. So all the First Nations up here who are complaining about Elizabeth and treaty rights, I'll say this again, she's not going to respond to you. She will not. She is going to defer you to the Governor General, who is de facto, and he falls under the definition of the IMF of a de facto government as a usurper, those who have taken over a government by coup. So again, he represents what? A corporation. So he's not going to help you, and she cannot comment because you all are already doing commerce. So for her to try to make it seem as if she's in honor, she can't do that. So I'm explaining she won't write you. If she does, she'll defer you to the Governor General. She's out of it because she herself is guilty. If she comments, again, what's the penalty for her? Death penalty for her. This means that any and all legislation being used against you is fraudulent and unlawful. Unfortunately for some people, again, the public is just like real sheep. They see that, and they're like, oh, okay. And then it just like water over their head, duck water over on their back, goes over their head. So what it's saying is you can use that oath in any case because the judges are part of the bar. So you can tender that to say, well, I'm challenging the Queen's sovereignty. Like, what? I'm challenging her sovereignty. Who do you take orders from? In a tax case in Texas, a judge said he takes his orders from the Queen of England. The United States is still a colony of Great Britain. So therefore, the judges who fall under the bar, the clerks, the bailiffs, the sheriffs are all following orders from who? Elizabeth. So when they talk about, no, I take an oath to the Constitution. No, the Constitution is void in the room. That's why they put yellow fringes around it. And that Elizabeth or Regina / the Queen, as she's known in the courts, has no lawful authority to bring charges against you or anyone. And I'll add, no legal authority either. Because legal and lawful are not the same. They can use legislation, oh, that's legal, but lawfully it's unlawful. See, so this is what a lot of people have to start going to the top, and the ones who are supposed to be knowledgeable as indigenous, etc. I'm like, well, how come you guys aren't doing this? Why can't you see this? It took me a few years to figure that one out, and then I said, oh, these guys are in on it. Just like we talked about the priest who got escorted out to T.D. Jakes' church. You got Moors who were Grand Sheikhs, Adepts, same thing. You have Nuwabians who are sitting there. I get the emails talking about, we want a free doc. I said, you guys are calling yourselves U.S. citizens. You're carrying their IDs. You're not making no declarations. You're not even addressing the fact that these guys have committed treason. And then you're going to the courts expecting to get judgment from a Puerto Rican judge whose title is in the middle of the Atlantic, but then you're claiming he's Maku Black Thunderbird. He already stated he was indigenous. It's not about him. What are you? Because you can't call yourself a citizen of the state of Georgia, concerned citizens in New York, right? Because they contacted me too. You can't say that, and then you turn around and now you're, well, we got to get these money for these lawyers. That means y'all don't think. And even in Set the Record Straight, he states if you get a lawyer that is not going to support your indigenous rights, then you have already put yourself underneath their jurisdiction. So beware. All the court cases that I had up here in so-called Edmonton didn't use a lawyer for any of them. None of them. Okay, so we'll continue now. Let's see. Okay, we got her oath. We showed that. Oh yes, the interview with Rabbi Finkelstein. We are. Oh yeah, here. Let's play Barack now. This is what your president thinks of you all. Oh.
Have worked for generations to build, or in the United States, and for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. The order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
Right? And you see in the audience, it's like nobody. I say he basically telling you, look, we're gonna tell y'all what to do. That said, you can't handle your affairs. So they're basically that's a blanket brush statement to say you all are incompetent. What did all the intellectuals say about this? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So when they say nothing, they are doing what? Giving tacit consent and agreement. Okay, now, when Barack came in, all them Moors should have came out and said, okay, John Hanson was the first president of the United States. He was a black man, a Moor. They didn't say anything. They kept their mouths shut.
Right.
So this tells you that these grand sheikhs, sheikesses, etc., I don't know how many times I'm going to tell them, this is what they're supposed to be dealing with. What we have presented thus far and the weekly addresses, and that's what they're supposed to be doing. But they're not doing it. So therefore, they're still mentally trapped in that United States plantation mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they won't watch 12 Years a Slave. They won't watch Django. And I'm like, well, they're telling you this is how they did it before. This is the reprogram, because the young children aren't aware of that. So they said, nah, forget them. We got to go to the young kids and get them. And then we can slide these cats right back in to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
What is this here? Okay, first president, Ken Jaworski. Okay, this is the communication that I had sent to the Vatican. This was the facts that we showed the video. And this is what was sent, and there was no response. And it's, again, we put it on YouTube, and you can see here's the confirmation. This was Benedict's email address before I went and before he went actually, and then took down all his tweets, took everything down to act like we never communicated with him. And I have all these people here as witnesses. So he got it. That was Tuesday, September 9, 2008. The lien filed on the Vatican and the Pentagon was done on September 9th, 2009. 999. I didn't plan that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I originally sent it, I sent it that year, and it disappeared for about 7 or 8 months. So I never heard back from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so I said, oh well, I guess they, threw it away or whatever. And then all of a sudden I got a card in the mail, and then I see that the lien was filed, which I already showed you. Let's see here. Okay, Constitution void. Here's another thing. Constitution void in court. These Moors are not saying anything. U.S. Supreme Court issues landmark decision. January 18, 2011. The Supreme Court issued a landmark decision that serves to allow judges to void the constitutions in their courtrooms.
Right there.
The decision was issued January 18, 2011, and the court did not even explain the decision. They give you the docket numbers. One-word decisions denied. So, what does this mean? The key questions answered negatively by the U.S. Supreme Court was whether federal courts must be stopped from operating corruptly and ignoring all laws, rules, and facts. By denying the petition, SCOTUS, by the Supreme Court of the United States, has chosen to sanction corruption by federal judges and to allow federal judges to void sections of the Constitution at will. This goes down to the state courts, the local courts, and the proof of that is when we go to this video. We're going to go to the video in Bergen County where the judge there straight up voided out the Constitution. Where are you? Is this you here? guess we're gonna have to go back and do the search. I thought I had pulled that out. Yeah, we'll just go and do the search. Nothing better than doing it fresh. Okay, Bergen County Judge Lloyd's Institution. Okay, here it is. Here's the video, because this is what these Moors from the Moor Science Temple, Nuwabians, Nation of Islam, Black Panthers, Hebrew Israelites.
Make more money and take control of your personal and financial future, then get ready.
This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Yeah, a man is held hostage for set by a judge for $75, which he makes clear to the court through documentation he cannot afford. Witness him be victimized by extreme violence. Now this is happening to a white boy, but the brother, it's a Nubian who went and did the video because he was just like totally shocked. Now this came out on January 31st, 2011, which was 13 days after the Supreme Court decision that I just showed you. So where are all these the conscious community? They're supposed to be speaking about this. They're not saying anything. So that tells me you guys are slaves and you're house Negroes because you don't want to talk about this.
But he's got the right to apply at least anyway. 75 notes, get it together. He's coming back March 7th at 9. Go downstairs, you fill out the form. Because if you don't do it within at least a week from today, then you won't have the information from PTI. But I'm not waiving $75. I'm not doing it. You're certainly able to work. You're a young guy. Get a better job than that. And even on that job, you can come up with $75.
Judge, if you look at
these applications that I
if you look at the letter, when you add up what he's bringing in and his outgo, he has $340 a month. There's $100 in rent.
If you can get a better job, Mr. Gizzi, I'm not waiving $75.
Can he? Why don't you, Judge? I think there's a constitutional problem when it's waived by other judges.
I'm not doing it. Okay? The Constitution is suspended in this courtroom for that purpose.
It's not suspended in the courtroom for the purpose. It's suspended, period, with yellow fringes around a 50-star flag. He's got the flag of the U.S. up here. You can't see it because they blurred it, but there's fringes around the 50-star flag. The Constitution is always suspended in a courtroom. They have to suspend it. He sits as a Puerto Rican judge according to 48 United States Code, Section 874. What does this mean? His birth certificate is not on the mainland, it's in Puerto Rico. Why? Because all the banks, all the U.S. banks operate offshore through Puerto Rico. So he is operating a racketeering court. Now this is just state court in New Jersey, 13 days afterward. Now didn't it state that only the federal judges can do that?
Yeah.
But now you're seeing a state judge, which is what I said would happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go from the federal to the state to the local to the traffic, child support, or family court, and then people are sitting there. So where is the Congressional Black Caucus? Where are they? House Negroes, Boule. Where is Black Panthers, NAACP, National Action Network? They're not saying nothing about that. So again, when you started off this interview, what does it show? That these Negroes are still under slave mentality and they will do anything to live well. They're not seeing the bigger picture. So I say that these Negroes are into sadomasochism.
Is suspended in this courtroom for that purpose. And the Constitution is suspended in this courtroom for that purpose.
Now listen to the response of the person hired to protect the defendant's constitutional rights. Wrong. Public defenders do not defend the person in court. Their job is to take that person's assets, land, property, and turn it back over to the state. It's not, they don't have an oath. I did that in North Carolina. And I asked, they tried to hit me off with Robert, and I asked him, do you have an oath to uphold my rights? And he pulled out his North Carolina bar card. I said, I don't want that. That's not an oath. So he's already lying, and I got him on perjury. Now look at the state of affairs for the court system.
Constitution is suspended in this courtroom for that purpose.
Can he apply today, and the fee can be paid?
Not waiving it.
Can he apply today
I don't know if he'll do that. Will he do that again downstairs?
and have the fee paid?
Tell him as a favor to me, since the guy's here, he can take the application, but then he's got to come up with money within a week or so. Yeah. I understand that. He's got to pay $75. I understand.
Can he pay it? I've had even judges in this county do that. Pay it by the next court date so that it's paid.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
All right.
As long as it's paid. Well, let him go downstairs. Who's got the seat, Jim? Get Kowalski up.
So you see how we go back and forth, and you can clearly see there's fringes around the flags. So this is the reason why. So I don't forget, Maritime Admiralty. So now we're going to go back, and I'm going to show the document that I did for